We all do it. Now, let me give you some examples of nudging. Did you know that when you walk into a store and somebody comes up to you and says, can I help you find something? Did you know that sales go up 30% by simply asking that question? Wow. Did you also know consumers have a velocity? Listen to this. If there is a narrow aisle, you will walk faster, right? If the aisle is wide, you will tend to slow down. Haven't you noticed when you go to the perfume section, the women's shoe section, what happens to the aisles? They get real wide because you automatically slow down. You're being nudged through the store, and sometimes they need to slow you down. Like, for example, sometimes the aisles are too narrow, right? And you're walking too fast. How do they slow you down? How do they slow you down? You ever go to like the Kmart, Walmart, or something like that? Come on, Target, and you're walking too fast. What do you see in the aisles? Bins, right? And see, those are mental speed bumps, because here's you. Hum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Oh, DVDs for sale. $5. Let me check some of these out. Right? Oh, I know you've been there. Don't lie to me. Do not lie to me, right? Some of you go, I would never go to Walmart, Victor. Shut up, right? Just shut up. Did you also know that we're impulse buyers? Yes or no? When we go to the grocery store, where do they put the milk? Yell it out. All right, right around here. Whoever said refrigerator, thanks for the obvious, right? Yeah, right? Of course. They put the milk in the back, they put eggs in the back, they put everything in the back because they know what's going to happen is you're going to walk down the aisles, and on the way back you might see some cookies, some donuts, okay? Get the idea? So they're already nudging us to buy more. Did you know that when you're talking to somebody, just by simply touching their arm, one study showed sales increased from 55 to 81%. Wow, just touching the arm. Now remember, I said touch, don't fondle. Big mistake, right? Just gently touch. Sometimes I have to explain these things, right? Next, did you know they did an interesting study? They did an interesting study with waiters and waitresses. And what they wanted to find out is if you gave me your order and I mimicked the order right back to you versus if I paraphrased it, would that impact tip rates? And what they found out is waiters or waitresses that use the same wording as the customer, they mimicked back what they ordered, got 70% more in tips. Wow, just by mimicking. Isn't that fascinating? Influences everywhere. How about this one? Let me ask you a question. You're talking to one of those customers. You're trying to talk to them about Plexus. Now, you got some good news and some bad news. Which should you present first? Raise your hand if you say good news. Raise your hand and say, give them the bad news first. Raise your hand if you refuse to raise your hand, no matter what I'm going to ask you today. All right. Rough crowd. Here's what they found out. That if the person is not motivated, you ever talk to that one person who just, I hate network marketing. You ever meet that guy? A girl, right? That person is one of those negative people. If they're not motivated, you present the bad news first. You say, well, okay, let me tell you all the things you're not going to like about this company, or all the things you're not going to like about this product. What do you think the person is thinking at this point when you say that? Well, at least they're honest. But if they're motivated to buy, you present the good news first. You with me on this? Subtle things you can do to increase sales. Now, did you know that people are more likely to say yes than no if they're in a softer chair versus a harder chair? How cool is that? This tells you that this really has a role in the decision-making process, right? Because, let me fix this here quickly, when this goes numb, this goes dumb. Get the idea? Let's move on, right? Let me ask you a question. If I wanted you to select one of these two burgers, how many would choose the small one? Raise your hand. How many would choose the big ones? Raise your hand. Apparently, we have a lot of hungry people in this room right now, right? Now, did you know, on average, when two options are offered, people will typically choose which one? The smaller one. Now, how could I get you to buy the big one? I could tell you about the features and benefits of that burger, tell you about the extra meat, special sauce, cheese, lettuce, and all that good stuff. That's selling the feature, selling the benefit. I could do that, but there's a better way. Instead of trying to sell you that big burger, here's what I'd do. I'd offer you a third burger. Here's what studies have shown. When you present three options to a customer, in order to avoid making a risky decision, they'll choose the one in the what? Middle. Don't believe me? Go to Wendy's, go to McDonald's, go to Starbucks. There's always 3 options. And where do you think the biggest profit margin is? In the middle, because here's your decision-making process. Too small, too big, ooh. Okay, be the one in the middle. So from this day forward, how many options are you gonna offer your customer? I had a lady come up to me and said, Victor, let me ask you a question. What if I only have 2 options? I said, shut up. Make up a 3rd one. I don't care. Figure something out. It's really easy. Did you know? I'm going to split the room right in the middle. Bam, split the room in the middle. On this side, I'm going to give you a clipboard, a light clipboard, and I'm going to put somebody's resume on it. I want you to review it and tell me how many people want to interview this candidate. On this side, as opposed to a light clipboard, I'm going to give you a heavy clipboard. Put the same resume on it, review the resume, tell me how many people want to interview that person. Which side do you think got the most interview requests? Light or heavy? Heavy. Isn't that interesting? Because, think about it, at a subconscious level, when something is heavier, just the textual feeling of something being heavier, what does it transmit to your brain? Heavy equals what? Quality. You ever do that? You ever grab something, just go like this for no reason at all? Go, like if you're gonna really understand it by just weighing it. But if it's too light, what does your brain say? Immediately says cheap. Now this is important because sometimes when you're talking to a customer, you should have samples with you. And the first thing you should do is what? At a given point, hand them a sample because just touching the package, just holding it really impacts the decision-making process. Now, let me ask you a question. On day 1, they set up a display of jams, 6 flavors. On day 2, they set one up with 30 flavors. Which do you think sold more, 6 or 30? One more time? Man, this is a smart audience. Absolutely. Now, here's the numbers. Results were 24%, or when they were offered 24 flavors, only 3% bought. But they were only offered 6 flavors, only 30% bought. Why? You know the answer. A confused mind will never make a decision. And sometimes when we're talking to customers, my God, we just throw up all over them, right? Well, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. And what does the customer start thinking? Right? So narrow down your choices if you want somebody to make a quicker decision, the ideal number being 3. Let me ask you a question. When you're having a one-on-one conversation with your customer, right? Somebody you're thinking of bringing on board or using your product, what percentage of the time do you think you're looking at them? Yell it out. 10? Okay, apparently you're not even looking at them, right? Right? What percentage of the time do you think they're looking at you? Okay, here's what the study showed. That on average, the client is looking at you 75% of the time. But what was shocking about this study is they found that you, the seller, were only looking at them 40% of the time. You were too busy looking at your data sheet. You were too busy looking at your brochures. You were too busy looking at your products. But the study also found something interesting, that if I increase my level of eye contact to at least 50%, I immediately establish credibility. Isn't that interesting? Just more contact. Now, don't get weird. Don't stare at them like, yeah. Like don't go for the 100%. Don't go for the 100%, okay? All right. Now, Ellen Langer, Harvard psychologist, did an interesting study. Here's what she wanted to find out. Can you get people to do something automatically? Comply triggers, right? Let me walk through an example, because this applies. People were lined up at a copier, and what Ellen Langer wanted to find out is what happens if somebody tries to cut in line and says something like this. Excuse me, I have 5 pages to copy. May I use the Xerox machine? What percentage, yell it out, of the people would say yes? What do you think? Yell it out, yell it out. 5%. East Coast in the house. Right? 5%. By the way, I can separate the East Coast from the Midwestern folks, right? Minnesotan folks are like, yeah, for sure, passive aggressive, go ahead, right? Right? Some of you will not get that. But anyways, what she found out is that 60% said yes, go ahead, cut in front. So Ellen Langer said, wait a minute, I wonder if we can increase that number. I wonder if we can do that. So here's what she says, let's insert a reason. Because I'm in a rush. Let's insert the reason because I'm in a rush. Does the number go up or down? Bam, you're so wrong. 94% said yes. Wow. 94% said yes by inserting a reason because I'm in a rush. But then Ellen Langer wanted to test one more thing. What if we take out I'm in a rush and put in a non-value statement? And here's a non-value statement. Because I have to make copies. Duh, why else would you be in front of the copy? It has no value. Does the number go up or down? The number goes down, but only by 1%. 93% of the people said yes. Here's what Langer figured out. That when you insert the word because in a phrase, people don't really listen to what comes after. They're like Pavlovian dogs, ding, salivate, right? Wow, some of you got that. I am so impressed. Man, I'm talking to the best of the best. You got that one. Last time I just heard crickets. Yeah, you guys are good. You guys are good. She found out that the word because is a trigger. You get da-da-da-da, because, and people go, bing, I'll do it, right? I used to slide orders over, go ahead and fill this out because. And people would just like, ding, salivate, grab the pen, and start filling it out. Fascinating. Now, wait a minute. Fellas, clap your hands. Just clap your hands, fellas. Come on, fellas. Look, there's not many of us. Let's stick together. Let me talk to you for a second because I know what you're thinking. If you're a man, especially if you're single, I know what you're thinking. Victor, are you saying what I think you're saying? Are you implying what I think you're implying? Are you telling me what I think you're telling me? Are you saying that if I see a beautiful young lady pass by and I say, would you like to come to my place because that's going to work? The answer is, and the ladies have spoken, right? And you're absolutely right, because Ellen Langer said the request has to be reasonable. And here's how she tested that. She asked people, instead of 5 pages, 20 pages, and look how the numbers go down, right? So simply inserting the word because is a trigger. Try this when you're talking to a customer. Fill this out or do this because, and you'd be amazed at how people just begin to do something. Interesting fact. Now,